We have Colleen Daley Ndoye, the Executive Director of Weber Renew, a harm reduction and recovery services organization for at-risk people. Now, it began on Christmas Day in 2003 when Roy Weber, a young sex worker in Providence, was found shot dead. Central Falls had Project Renew to work with female sex workers. Project Weber addressed the needs of male sex workers. They merged forces, and now we have Weber Renew. Colleen's giving a TEDx talk, and they've got a big fundraiser coming up. So Colleen, come around the corner. Thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to put your right foot there. We're going to tell folks all about Weber Renew. Tell us about your story coming there as Executive Director.
So I had been the director of Project Renew for about 11 years. I started out in Project Renew as sort of a young community organizer in Pawtucket and Central Falls. And we started Project Renew because we found a need in a neighborhood that there was prostitution happening, and we really wanted to address it in a unique way and not the typical way of arrest, and we knew that that didn't work. And so we started this program utilizing peer outreach workers, women who had lived the life, who could connect to women on the streets. And Project Weber was doing very similar work. And so we merged last March of 2016, and it's been an incredible journey ever since.
So tell us a little bit about this peer outreach and how you're working with the communities. And as you said, it differs from, as you said, just the arrest mentality of sex workers.
Yeah.
You know, what should people know who might not know much about sex work?
So the peer model is really based on the idea that the person who has lived a life, the person who is in recovery, the person who is HIV positive, the person who's been homeless, the person who really has experienced all of these conditions or life experiences really understands and can really connect to people way more effectively than somebody who just studied about it in school or sort of, who's just a person who really wants to do good but really doesn't understand. And so the idea is really that we provide access to all these services, so harm reduction services for people who are not interested in getting out of the life, not yet maybe, or not ever, and then recovery-based services for people who are really interested in getting into recovery or getting housing or getting jobs or whatever sort of resources that they want to improve their lives. And so we provide that range of services all the way from condoms and needle exchange all the way over to getting people their first job and getting into housing.
So when you talk about the harm reduction, is that where the needle exchange and the condom services come in?
Yes. Yep. So it's needle exchange. We do a lot of overdose prevention, which is a big thing in Rhode Island right now. We have distributed 150, actually it's probably more by now, that was at my last count, 150 kits of Narcan this year. And so the idea is that somebody whose own life was saved by Narcan is now going out and distributing the Narcan and teaching people how to use it. And then those people out on the streets can then use it to either to somebody to save their life, or they can save someone's life, and then potentially they can become an outreach worker one day and save someone else's life. And so the whole idea is that people who have lived the life are the best people to reach back out and to help and save other people's lives.
And how big is this, community of folks who are involved with this? Again, if the average person who might not know much about it, is it fairly prevalent here in Rhode Island?
So it's not more prevalent here in Rhode Island than in any other place. It's just that we actually have a program that works directly with this community. And so in other states, they have people involved in sex work in probably every city in the whole world. But we're really the only ones or one of the few ones, I should say, who really have a program that specifically works with male and female sex workers. And the idea is that, especially with the male population, the idea is that it's a very stigmatized population. It's very private. So there's a lot of confidentiality. There's a lot of shame and stigma. And so the idea is if you have former male sex workers running the program, is immediately dissipated. Nobody feels like, somebody's going to judge me. The person who lived that life for 15 years is not going to judge you, and it's a really powerful thing. So.
And what can you say we've seen in the press in recent years? The activity on Backpage.com. How much is that prevalent again, and what is the role in law enforcement? If your role is to support, do you have a relationship with the police, or are you just so focused on helping the individual?
We do, actually. We are a pretty unique program in that we do have a very strong relationship with the police, which is we go to sort of national conferences and we talk to people around the country, and anybody who works with this population, their immediate thought is, stay away from the police, don't talk to the police are not our friends. And our response when we developed the program was really, how can we work with law enforcement so that law enforcement can be a force for good, the force, to refer people to us rather than arresting people. And so that was one of the real primary sort of partners when we originally developed the program. And we're still working with the police a lot now. Providence, Pawtucket, and Central Falls are the primary police partners that we work with now. And so we really try and reduce arrests. I mean, the goal is to have, ideally nobody would be arrested in the state of Rhode Island for prostitution, but the goal is really to reduce arrests. So if a police officer sees somebody out on the streets, he would not be sort of arresting that person. Maybe he would talk to the person and say, listen, did you know there's a program? Do you have these resources? Do you have this? And the person might say no, or they might say maybe tomorrow. And so we continue to reach out to people over and over. And sometimes the 60th time is the charm, and they come and they say, okay, what can you do this for me? Sure, let's work with you. What do you want? Housing? Where are you living? What is your situation? Your domestic violence victim? All of these sort of overlapping needs. So,
and here we are, 2017. Again, the internet's been around for a while. Is it a different form of sex work? It was online, so much of a component of it that you might not see what you can construe as streetwalkers or the sort of that old school mentality. Is it much different today than it had been in the past?
Yes and no. So we generally, the population that we serve is generally street-based prostitution.
Okay.
Although we do serve people who are involved in indoor sex work as well. So the population that we primarily serve are generally people who are homeless, people who have significant, sometimes decades of life on the streets, people who really, persistent mental illness and substance abuse, a lot of layers of issues. And so those are primarily the people we serve. We do see people who are involved in indoor sex work, and some of them have the same issues as the people that are involved in outdoor, and some of them don't. And so we try and sort of just say, whatever resources we can be helpful, we want to be that for, so whoever comes through our doors, we say, okay, what are your needs and how can we help you to address them?
And so, as you said, you serve a myriad of needs, have a myriad of services. Yeah. What are you working on in 2017? What would be on your list of things that Weber Renew could do in addition to everything that you're doing now?
I mean, the thing that we're working on right now, which is so exciting, is a new transgender outreach project. So it's been about a year. And we're sort of expanding that project to include leadership development for some of our trans staffers, and so really to have them to be leaders in their community, and implementing NEPA principles, which is the meaningful involvement of people with HIV and AIDS. So we're really trying to have people who work for us to be on committees and on boards and on really changing the way, the face of HIV and the face of law enforcement and the face of all of these sort of health administration partners and things like that. We want our staff and people who have experienced all of the issues that we deal with to be involved in policy change. So it's a very exciting kind of next step for us, is to really change not individual lives but also advocacy and policy on a bigger level.
And so speaking of exciting things, you are giving a presentation at TEDx in Providence this weekend. One of the presenters there, what will you be talking about?
So, unsurprising, I'm going to be talking about our peer model and the sort of the incredible value and the incredible gift it is to use your past to create a new future for yourself and for others. And so the idea that peers and all of my staff use their past in this really incredible way, that it's not just, they overcome their past and they forget about it and then they move on. They use their past to actually, in this very creative and clever way, to be an incredible advocate and to change lives for people around the state. And so that's sort of the basis of my talk.
And speaking of helping people, Weber Renew is having your first annual benefit. I don't need to show you. You know all the nuts and bolts.
Yes.
So talk with us a little bit about this. What can we
Sure.
expect? It's Thursday, October 26th.
Yeah.
If you're watching right now, you can basically kind of make these out, but afterwards we'll have links for this as well for you.
Awesome. So yes, it is over at the arcade. We're across the street from the
can see
arcade
it
right
right
now. Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful night. It's going to have live music from Michelle Cruz, who's an amazing singer. And we're going to have local food. Actually, Rogue Island is one of our sponsors, Libby's Pockets. And we're going to have live music, local food, raffle prizes. 100% of the proceeds go to support our work. 100% tax deductible donations. We're going to have a special presentation from award-winning actress Alexandra Billings, who is a trans woman. She's one of the stars of the Amazon show Transparent. She's a trans woman living with HIV, who's a former sex worker. She's one of our sort of our gurus, sort of somebody that we look up to, and sort of she's an incredible advocate. And so there's going to be a special presentation from her. So it's going to be really a wonderful night.
Now, is she national?
She is, yes. She's on this Emmy award-winning show, Transparent, yes.
And it's, did you say web-based?
No, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Okay, Transparent. One
Yes.
of the stars of Transparent is going to be here.
Yeah.
Finally, what would you like folks to know? I mean, we talked about how you can help this community, but what about those that are, from the general public standpoint, that are sort of difficult to reach, who might have their preconceptions about the industry and say, well, they can help themselves? How do you address those folks who might have some really staunch, ingrained beliefs about what the whole industry is?
Sure. I mean, I would just say that if you're sort of thinking about, like, who's a sex worker, you're thinking about every age, every race, every ethnicity, every gender, sexuality, everybody. You're thinking about any person. And so you're not necessarily thinking about sort of the stereotype of the woman on the street with the high heels. It's everyone. And so the idea is that these men and women have many of the same sort of challenges that we do care about. So if you see somebody who's homeless on the street, your heart probably bleeds for them to think about what's happened in their life that they're there. If somebody has a substance abuse issue, you might sort of feel this pull of like, I wish I could just help that person. And so our clients are somebody who's HIV positive or all of these issues. Our clients are at the intersection of all of these things. And so the idea is sort of they're human beings, they're mothers, they're fathers, they're friends, and so just that compassion and understanding that they are our neighbors, and we have a responsibility really to reach out and to show some respect and some love and hopefully some guidance and compassion for people. At least I do.
But you're boots on the ground. You work with folks every day. It might be a little high-level policy. Will we ever see legalized prostitution?
You know, people ask me that all the time, and I don't really know the answer, because we're not sort of doing this like policy at the State House advocating for legalized prostitution.
You are on the ground.
We're just, we're every day, we're doing the day-to-day work, and so we're not necessarily doing that policy change. All I want is for people to be safe and healthy, and whatever that looks like. That's what I always say to people. I'm saying if people are safe and healthy, that's all we as an organization care about. Everybody who wants to get out of the life can get out, and everybody who's in the life, who wants to be in the life, is safe. Those are our goals, and I hope we as an organization can keep moving forward with that,
Well, I appreciate your coming in today to talk with us a little bit about this. You can hear Colleen this weekend at TEDx. It sounds like it's going to be a big, well-attended event. Again, there's a fundraiser coming up. We will provide additional links to that as well. And I do believe the URL is on here, Weber Renew, WEBERRENEW.org. So find out more information. If you're interested, contact Colleen. I'm hoping that we talk soon. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Let you around the corner. Okay, thank you. This is Colleen Daley Ndoye, who was here as Executive Director of Weber Renew. Now, this is a harm reduction and recovery services organization for at-risk people, helping both men and women in the sex work industry. She's going to be giving that talk with TEDx this weekend, and they've got a fundraiser coming up in October. So thank you, Colleen, for coming into the studio here at the Navigant Credit Union broadcast.